Hey guys, how's it going? Nick Campbell here, and with me as always is
David Steele.
And we are Rhythm and Wit.
Yes, this is the podcast where we discuss and explore the creative and artistic expressions of artists and performers in Oklahoma City and beyond.
Amen. All right, today we have with us the very funny Matt Raney. How you doing, Matt Raney?
Hey, I'm doing all right. What's up, y'all? I need more energy on the rhythm and wit. You guys have some synergy there, and I like that. But really, just like maybe like a hand thing.
Okay,
Just
The
rhythm
movement.
and wit. Like,
Wild stallions.
Exactly. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, dude. That the only reason I do this pod is for that moment. It's just so we can say rhythm and wit together.
Just hype it up.
It feels good.
Hype it up.
Matt Raney, how we doing? So I want to let everybody know the comedian out of OKC, produce open mics, generally one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Sure.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, oh yeah, and humble.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Am I supposed to agree or disagree?
And so what the people are saying is,
Yeah.
do you agree? But anyways, I just want to ask you, how'd you start in comedy?
Actually, started improv.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know that kind of gets stand-up comedy as kind of it gets a cringe reputation, but that's how I started. I had no social skills whatsoever, and I really didn't know how to talk to people. And I thought, well, gee golly, if I take an improv class, maybe I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. But then at an after party, they took me to a comedy open mic. And I saw Zach Ishikawa. Zach Ishikawa was the comic I saw doing open mic comedy, where I said, I can do that. And so the next week I signed up and I started
Nice.
doing it. And 10, 12, 13-ish years later,
Yeah.
here I am. Yeah.
Whoa, 13 years,
Yeah.
13-ish. That's
Yeah.
pretty. That's a long run there.
It's a long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's built you as like a person? Did you get past those moments of awkward conversation?
I think so. Well, actually, I haven't like done the big announcement like a stand-up comic is supposed to, but I've kind of quit comedy. I didn't make a big Facebook post about it, and I didn't do a big blow up because I wasn't mad at anybody or anything. But I've kind of just taken my foot off the gas, and I'm just kind of chilling. And there was a point I was trying to get to there, but I kind of forgot what it was.
Well, what made you want to kind of hold back a little bit? You got something else you're chasing?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of done with it for a minute. I was hosting mics for a long time, and then I kind of realized, well, I think if I especially at this last mic I was running, I thought if I wasn't running this mic, I might not be doing stand up at all.
Like the only thing keeping you into it was running that.
And with comedy is one of those weird things or art really, where you just got to get your reward in the here and now, because there's no guarantee of the Netflix special isn't coming. You're not going on Comedy Central. You're not going to be on the big YouTube channel that everybody wants you to be on or that you want to be on. You just got to get it right here, right now. So if I wasn't at a certain point, if you're not feeling it, you got to just. Like, are you doing comedy out of habit? Are you hitting the mics every week out of habit, or are you really trying to do something? And I didn't have a good answer for that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it makes sense to kind of take a step back. I mean, I think for me, I think about music a lot. Right now, I'm not playing music at all, and I feel like, well, it's not the time for me to be playing music. And I think that if it pulls me, I think it will pull me back because I love it. So, I mean, I'm going to find my way back to it eventually, but I'm not worried about, I need to be playing music or being in a band right now or whatever. So I think that it's similar. I mean, for comics, it's like if you're not feeling it, just step away. And then if something brings you back, then you can come back. I mean, there's no real rules to any of it.
yeah. Once upon a time, a band would take a couple of years before putting out a new CD
Right.
that you put in your Walkman. And now it's just if you're an artist, you better be TikToking every day. And I was like, I don't. That's another thing too is I didn't want to be on. I'm not on social media anymore, and that's almost like quitting comedy.
Yeah.
Because how am I going to tell anyone about my shows?
Right.
I'm going to go door to door like, hey, like. I'm telling jokes at this bar. I don't.
Yeah, it's a big part of it now for sure. Is
Yeah.
being that, and that sucks too. Yeah, the social media thing we talk all the time about. But I mean, how important it is for anything you do, you have to be like a marketer,
that's
marketing expert.
That's where I'm having a hard time right
Yeah.
now. Is like I mean, it's almost like they kind of push you into. Obviously, they do because it works, but push you into being negative or being coming from a place of lack. I feel like, but I have to use it and navigate it in order to put out my stuff. So here I am stuck playing tug of war with my time. Whenever it's like, all right, well, no, I feel that in a big way. Yeah, man, it's frustrating because there's really no other way to get out there other than, like you said, I mean, going out and meeting the people.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Sooner or later, we're all gonna have to go back to the old-fashioned way of doing it, which is just flyers and bothering people and barking, and I don't know, but yeah, I'm kind of done giving my attention to Instagram because I put all this time and effort into promoting these shows. I get 15 likes and just fake DMs from fake hot chicks, and I'm just like, like this is
they're not fake. Not fake, dude.
I send them money every week, and they're always appreciative. That's a real girl, bro.
I'm supporting like 4 families right now.
Yeah.
I felt that though whenever, like Dave said, with music. I mean, I cut out of music years ago. Dave's been at it but there was an internal struggle with, am I going to lose my identity? Like that kind of like, I put so much effort in this. Why, if I give up now, was that wasted time, And I told myself whenever I started this, I was like, this is just for the fun of it, and I've gotten farther in this having fun than I ever did trying my ass off with music.
I like what you said earlier is about like it's about the here and now. It's like, I mean, I think about this. I think in anyone's life, you have to enjoy the journey. You know what I mean? Like if you're not enjoying the journey, you got to figure out how to change that because the end goal, I mean, is death ultimately. So it's like, what is the end goal? It's like we're always looking. It's like, oh, if we can just get here, if we can just get this. But I feel like even if you do get that, that's not gonna make you ultimately happy. It's like the happiness comes every day. And you have to, appreciate your time and what you're doing as you're doing it.
It's not just death. It goes further than that. It's being forgotten.
Utterly
forgotten. Every joke you ever said, every goofball tweet you ever made, just utterly forgotten as the world moves on past beyond you, without you.
Anyways, guys, keep listening. This is
comedy.
No, but I think you're right. I know I was joking, but I think there's a beauty to it though too, because there's like these moments, like in your room in the Improv, when you were doing New Mic. It's new. You get moments that only you and those people have, and that you'll remember. And you're like, or the best part. I remember jokes that people did in a room that will continually pop up in my life, know?
Oh yeah. Like just in your head or whatever.
Like if I eat chicken wings, if I eat chicken wings, I think of Brandon Kilo every time because he has a little chicken wing where you like eat between the little bones, and then, and there's a few of those where it'll just pop up in my head and then those are the real gifts. Those are the like, one of my favorite, and it's just one of my favorite parts of your room is you go, don't talk about your dick. You can talk about anybody else's dick. Don't talk about your dick. And it's just like, oh, that's such a fun way to say that.
And you're talking about it's new open mic. I was trying to just come up with a cool rule set that wasn't trying to like lock people down on what they could and couldn't say. I think it's a pretty small ask that if you're going to be talking for 3 minutes, that at this particular mic, at this particular crowd, don't talk about your wiener. And it's a challenge for comedians. Like, what? Like I can't. Like what am I? What else is funny?
Right. That's what I like about that rule in particular. I think that you found a certain like very simple thing to say that like eliminates a lot of problems, and, when you have mics and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wanted to glitch out the blue comedians for a minute. It's the blue comics are always like, we say whatever we want, but you put them in a situation where they got to think around that for a minute, and you might see a couple of them sweating a little bit.
Yeah,
you might see a little bit of sweat.
Yeah, it's always good to have boundaries too. I think in a way it keeps you. I mean, it's like saying I'm only going to use watercolors on this picture.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps you within, like, you can go do blue stuff at other places. I mean, that's the kind of thing, right? Is like you can do these other, and it depends on the environment that you're in, I think. I mean, you're directly impacted by the people who are around you. And it's almost like, are you being respectful? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's a weird thing to think about when you're a stand-up comedian, because the whole thing, there's a little bit of disrespect in everything a stand-up comic does, and it's just like, well, where is that line though? And it's hard for me to sit there and draw that line. And I've had mics where there was no line. There was It's New is an anagram of new shit, which is a mic that I used to run way back in the day, and it was late at night. There were no rules, and there are things that I'm so glad that no one ever recorded those mics, because the things that got said were nuts. But in that avenue, though, it was respectful, because we found a nice dingy bar to do it. We weren't going to be hurting anyone's sensibilities.
Yeah.
I do think that there is something about comedy that it's like, because I remember going to a show with you way before you even started. When we were in Denver visiting my sister, and your brother lived there also, but we went to a show there, and it was like the first real comedy show that I'd ever been to. And it was like they took your phones and they gave you this little bag that they locked, that you got to keep your phone with you, but it was locked in this little bag that they unlocked so that you couldn't record. And I thought that was fascinating, because obviously it's like they wanted to eliminate recording. But I was thinking about that afterwards, and it's like, because in those rooms, it's like it's a safe room for the comics to say what they want to say, and obviously to protect their material, but also just to protect them from being posted online, and maybe they said something a little off color, and like, it gets shared and they get canceled or whatever.
Good luck. Good luck. Yeah, I
don't know, but
I had a second phone in my pocket.
It's something about like the freedom of speech in that, in that room, where it's like you can say, things that, I think that there's something that you have to kind of find the boundaries, and you have to push the boundaries sometimes to find where to fall back to.
And one of the funniest things that happened at that mic, and I forget the comic that did it, were like, so the big famous rule of no talking about your wiener. Well, one of the comics got on stage and talked about his friend's wiener for the entirety of the set, and it actually kind of made it okay. It made it
changed the perspective a little bit.
It was silly enough that I was able to be like, I'm gonna allow this. I'm gonna let this go.
Well, I mean, that's the idea of a comedian, is to be subversive, right? I mean, to challenge, and like you said, you're kind of maybe you're being disrespectful, right? But the idea is to maybe find an idea,
challenging people's thoughts. I think that's what I think, that ultimately comedy is, to make people think about whatever it is. I mean, So, but
how do you balance finding a good, like, balance the boundary? I think the boundary kind of moves a little bit here and there too,
as society changes.
But also as the room, as the people that inhabit it. I mean, the day, the weather, it kind of changes how people feel and are. So how do you create that boundary? Make it almost like, all right, guys, we're really just all being nicer than normal, right? We're trying to be nice. And then also not kill the creativity. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, because you don't want to hold back. We want to get into scary areas too. We want to figure out what we're doing. We're not going to get there. We're gonna fuck up. So is there an amount of forgiveness that we're like, hey man, look, that was crazy. We all kind of saw that. Are we good?
That's all great questions, and I think every mic should have a slightly different rule set, because every mic is a little bit different. So everyone talks about the wiener rule, but also that mic, It's New. I had a rule: no crowd work.
Was it specifically if you didn't know the person?
If you don't know the person, don't try and crowd work them, because in that room it's brightly lit in there, or brighter than it would be in a normal comedy club, and so you see the person who's getting roasted, and it's a weird and I like, sometimes at the open mic scene, I feel like crowd work is a drowning man just reaching for anything. I'm drowning, everything I'm hitting is just like, I'm getting nothing. Like, how about you say something funny, because I've got nothing up here. And so like, there's something else I just wanted to kind of take away from the comics, like, how about like, what happens if you don't do that? And but also like, as I said, you can crowd work people that you do know, but I never saw that happen. No one ever tried to crowd work their friends, and so
interesting. Yeah, I thought that I always liked that rule in particular. I mean, that was interesting because I think that if I do see that a lot. I mean, I think with crowd work or at shows, like comics will get up and roast other comics, or the comic that was just up. They'll say something about. It's like obviously they know each other, so it's like they kind of get away with a lot more just saying mean things or funny things, but it's like, okay, well, they're friends. You wouldn't necessarily say that to a member.
Yeah.
Well, is there a difference between doing crowd work and playing with the room? You know what I'm saying? Like that's because I feel like I do a lot of crowd work. Like it's more the jokes are excuses to get up there and talk to the audience. Like I want to we're having fun. You know, like
you like to involve the audience in a lot of your sets.
And I try to do playing with the room. And then crowd work, I think, is more individually, you know?
Yeah.
But I still did that at improv. I would be more like, right, guys? And then where I point at Leo, and because I know Leo, I kind of play within those bounds. But at a certain point, when everybody's laughing, you're like, uh-oh, you guys are all my friends. So
yeah.
And there's the malleability. There's the flexibility in, is this right? Is this wrong? Do the rules apply? They don't apply if they're funny.
Yeah.
If you're funny. So if you're being funny, do those. Like it as a longtime comedian, what do you see? I mean, if you don't know, it's completely understandable. What do you see that's the difference between somebody who can do that and make something funny, do the same thing as somebody else who is destroying a room or,
or like you
being
said,
malicious.
drowning, trying to grab stuff.
Well, good. I'd say in this, I'm not a crowd work comic, but what my observation is crowd work is a two-sided coin. So on one side is a lot of preparation, like unseen preparation, where you're really thinking through these jokes. And like, if I ask someone this, what's going to come out of this person's mouth? What could come out of that person's mouth when I ask that question? And having a good answer for just about anything they throw at you, and that's it. Yeah, so there's that preparation on one side, and the other side is that improv element of just going with it. But even, and I use the word improv, but even improv players, when they're doing improv games, there's a little bit of preparation in that too. They know how the games are working. They know what it is they're trying to get to and what it is they're trying to achieve. And so if you're doing that with your crowd work, you're good. Like, you might have a better chance of being successful if you're just, instead of just being like, well, what about you? What's your dick like? Like that's is your dick weird? Like, that's not a good comedy, bro. You're just putting a dude on the spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Is your dick weird?
Yeah, man.
That would be on the spot if I, if somebody asked you on a bus.
Yeah.
Is your dick weird?
Yeah.
That's how I think about crowd work. That's how I think about crowd work. I'll think about it like this. Like, if I'm in public, would I have said this to someone?
Hey,
and then I can make in conversation. I'm very I can make a joke usually. If I'm talking to you, I can usually get a joke out within 30 seconds. People hate it, but I still do. I just it's fun for me, and I like to make people laugh.
That's the thing. It's like when I see you on stage, it's like you're just being who you are anyways. It's not any different, and you've been practicing. So when you go into the preparation, it's like you prepare for this every day, every minute of your life that you're with other people. That's your preparation.
And I want to say sorry to my mom, to my dad, to Liz most of all.
And there's people out there who are just crowd work machines.
Yeah.
They just have they have whatever that skill set is. They've got it down.
Right.
And if they're killing with it, I can't say shit.
Yeah.
I can't say shit. But if you're not killing the crowd work, that's ooh, I'd just rather you die with your own material.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah. Preparation. I mean, you brought something up that's prepared. I mean, you're going to have a better shot. But if you're just going up there crowd working without any sort of prep, because you still have to know how to write a joke.
Yeah.
My first stuff started out very much like that, where it was like, all right, I'm a husky boy. Who else is a husky boy?
Yeah.
And then it would be like, woo! I was like, it sounds tired. Yeah. And so you kind of play with that, and then it evolved into, where my husky boys at? And they're like, yeah. I was like, and there's never a lot of them.
Yeah.
And nobody really likes to cheer about it.
The self-identifying husky boys might not be as much as the actual husky boys. So.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know, they're tired or something. And so it's kind of the start of like, that's what it feels like to talk to a crowd. And then, but if you go in on that one person with that question, it's like, you're a Husky boy, right? And they're like, no. Or I just found out now.
That's literally what they called me every day in middle school. Just reopened this whole.
So this is a bad moment for you. Everybody laugh. But okay. No, I dig. I hope we get back into that a little bit because I do love the ethereal. It is a moving flagpole. You know what I'm saying? It's a moving goal because you never like it could change at any point. How quick was it that the Tesla box? What is it called? Cybertruck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was. Oh, this is an EV. We're gonna save the environment. And then the culture changed, and now it's the opposite of what it used to be. It represent, you know?
Well, the culture changed, and then the dude selling the trucks went up and threw a sick Heil and then a fucking this isn't a political podcast, but things changed at Tesla. I would definitely say Elon Musk. He changed the temperature in the room with his crowd work. With his crowd work didn't really go over with the rest of the crowd. Yeah. I really do think he was on so much drugs that when he threw it up, I think in his heart of hearts he believed the crowd was gonna throw it right back at him, and they didn't. And no one's buying his trucks, and I'm not crying one tear about it.
No, I mean, well, he, you know, you do that, you can expect to not be seen as much, right? Like you should be kind of shunned.
Get that dude out of
here. Yeah, and you know, I mean, okay. Just use that as the example. Let's say that was an open mic.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, Elon, he should get into stand-up comedy and actually practice. Maybe he could, learn a thing or two. But
sadly, I'm worried that some of his material would go over real well right now. Right. So I don't.
No, but
well, that's an interesting thing as well. Is the culture, the acceptance of a culture, what really dictates what's? No matter what the morals are.
Yeah.
You know, the culture itself. What's the culture? I mean, obviously we're in Oklahoma, but I mean, you go to Seattle or something, obviously it's gonna be a little different. But you can tell what the culture is here. You know, and where you're gonna hit a landmine. Like, say you hit a landmine just saying something off about Trump, which would have hit in Seattle, but here it's a little different. You know, and so you're built by your environment. You know, and so what those like. That flagpole moves.
It does. But I mean, then again, that's the pull of the crowd, which you can't. And the crowd's gonna swing like a pendulum. You know, like it wasn't but a couple of years ago that the things were felt a little more liberal than they feel right now. Like that pendulum's kind of swung back and forth, and it's that's gonna always be changing. But I think a way that you can buttress yourself, or at least your material against that, is by trying to have your material be as close to the truth as possible. You know, you'll hear like you hear the cheesy stuff when you hear it. The really like the lazy stuff about like what races eat what kind of food, or what it is about like what's like being tall or short or fat or just whatever. But are you really telling the truth up there? Are you? I think that'll. I don't know where I'm going with that.
I like it. I think I get what you're saying. It's like I think that's important that not a lot of comics think about, but it's like just telling the truth. And I think it goes to something we talk a lot about, is just being true to yourself. I mean, if you're telling your truth, that's going to come across the most, people are going to get that, whether they think it's funny or not, whatever, they're going to at least respect it.
And that's the trick of the comic, is like anybody can get up and stand the truth and say the truth. But, but to get up and say the truth and have a crowd of people laugh at it, that's where the art comes in. That's where you really, the explanations stop making sense.
Because the laughter is acceptance. And it's small, that's you let me walk through the door of your brain. As soon as you laughed, you accepted. Okay, well that was funny. I mean, a prime example. Another one of my favorite things that you did at your mic was the Will Rogers quotes.
Yeah,
I was there for both times, and after the last mic, I went out and got a Will Rogers book and watched the documentary on him, and
he was a hell of a writer.
He was adamantly against government.
Yeah.
And spoke about it daily new stuff off his hip. He would just pull a newspaper out. He was writing 3 columns every day.
Yeah.
You know, and so he was very prolific. 1, but 2, he was the voice of the people basically back then. I'm sure you know this. This is for all the kids.
No, what's funny is like people they didn't like you know, and I didn't really know who Will Rogers was all that much until I started putting all those quotes in a jar, and really that whole thing started really with Rodney Dangerfield jokes. So I just my favorite Rodney Dangerfield jokes. I printed them out, I cut them into little strips, and I put them in that jar. So because sometimes, you know, like I think, especially new comedians, like they do better if they're working with better written material. But we tell the new comics that they have to write their own material, and in that situation, is like, I guess you could just like if you read someone else's jokes, you don't have to worry necessarily about the writing. You just have to worry about the delivery.
Yeah.
And it kind of gave like almost like training wheels for new comics.
I like that. That's really cool.
I also had a concept, and I never pulled it off, where I wanted, if you were going to do other people's material, you had to put on a yellow safety vest to let everyone, just to designate that you were indeed doing other people's material. Not, you're stealing jokes, man. That's what Mitch Hedberg. It's like, yeah, he's got the vest on. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, the best part is you're stealing jokes from a guy's dead, so he's not going to come get you.
If you're going to steal, I can't. Every time I hear drama about an open micer stealing material from an open micer, I want to scream, because like there's dead comedians that you can steal all your jokes from.
Yeah.
For crying out. It's like, what? Just steal their jokes. They're not going to come after you.
Right.
Like Henny Youngman's not going to come after you for stealing his knock knocks.
Yeah.
Like, come get him.
Well, somebody recently told me that. They were like, man, this dude stole my joke. I was like, first one to record wins.
Yeah, where's the proof?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, put a date on it. Mail it to yourself. Like, you can't. That's how.
Absolutely.
We are now taking donations to help support Rhythm and Wit. It's called buymeacoffee.com/rhythm and wit. And that is where you can go and just donate any amount. I think that what they do is, it's called Buy Me a Coffee. You can buy us 1 cup of coffee. Costs $5, so you can just donate $5, and that will maybe buy one of us a coffee.
Yeah,
so
we'll sip on it together.
We'll split it. So you can do that, or you can buy us 10 cups of coffee if you wanted to. So I mean, that's like a $50 donation, and then that's all goes there. You can leave us a message on there, and if you do leave us a message, we will certainly read it on the air, and thank you for your support. And any of the money that we take from Buy Me a Coffee, or any donations at all, we are going to use to put back into the show, whether it's buying new equipment, maybe some mics or cameras or lights or anything like that, or maybe even promoting and just trying to grow the audience, because that's something that I'd like to get into, is, you know, buying some ads and things like that to try to grow our audience that way.
Absolutely.
And of course that costs money, so we would love it if you could support us. If you have the means, please go to buymeacoffee.com/rhythm and wit. Rhythm and Wit.
But so I wanted to ask, longevity. So you've been doing it for this long, and you know, you say you're kind of not gonna. I mean, you're kind of taking a break, but not bowing out, right? I mean, you've developed these skills over a while. Have you taken a break before?
Yeah, I think the trick is just don't tell people you're doing it, so they don't think that you fell off or anything like that. Just take your break, and they didn't miss you. You'll come back in about a month or two, and you'll be like, I'm already doing the thing where I'm sitting and thinking about how I would put a certain bit together. And so that's why I can't.
Like, you can't help it.
Really. Yeah. So with a straight face, I can't tell anyone I've quit comedy.
Yeah.
I'm just smell you later right now.
But that's good. I think that happens. I mean, I see it a lot. I mean, we've only really been in this community for a couple of years, but it's like you already see people kind of drop away and then they come back. But it's like we need that, because it's like life happens, stuff happens. You gotta take care of. That's more important sometimes.
Yeah. Nobody can crank the content machine forever.
Yeah, for sure.
The sun's gonna run out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just us. A great example is just like living. I want to get out there, but right now the kids are getting out of school. You know how that is.
Yeah.
We got orchestra, we got volleyball, we got all the final stuff happening.
Yeah.
And then we go into the parties and all this stuff, and then trying to work as a human and make it and not be buried under bills. Anyways, the
Hell yeah.
and then you're like, I'm gonna go out and do 5 minutes at 6 o'clock for an hour.
And I'm gonna wait an hour and a half to do it. Too.
Yeah.
Just like what?
I'm gonna think about it all day and let it get in my feels. And so I can see the difficulty there. But whenever you're looking at one, your brain kind of just works like that now, right? Because you practiced it for so long.
You do it so long, or when you see someone do some public speaking and you know they don't know how to work a mic.
Yeah.
Like this dude does not know how to talk. Like I'm worried if I'm too quiet into the mic right now. But like when the guy is whispering, it's like get me out of this funeral. He doesn't know how to talk.
Yeah.
This guy does not know.
Well, that was I went to the not knocking my daughter's orchestra teacher is amazing.
Yeah.
Before I say anything.
Big fan of the show. We love him.
Yeah. And she's the best. There's I think going up in front of people is very like, you know, potentially embarrassing, but never really. You know, if it's not memorable,
it's literally one of people's biggest fears in life.
Public speaking.
But if you do it, it's like jumping out of a plane. As soon as it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
Right? And then most of the time, if you say something dumb, nobody's going to remember it. They're up their own ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're just going to be like,
they're on their phone. It's okay.
Yeah. So I was on my phone at this orchestra concert. But no, we're standing up there and she's doing her thing. She's like, she does really great at conducting. She does all this stuff. And then she wants to say that she appreciates the kids. And she does a really great job. But she just over and over. I'm very proud of them. I appreciate them. Yeah. And she's just nervous. You could see it. I was like, you teach the worst crowd every day. You teach kids trying to learn an instrument, you know, but you're looking at parents and you're going like, oh, I don't want to. It's like, but she just hasn't had the practice of being in front of that crowd in that room and then so many rooms and feeling, you know, like she didn't know that it didn't matter what she said. You know what I'm saying? Like in general, none of it does.
She could, like you said, just say it once and we got it.
But there's I'm sure you know, the more you repeat things, the less important it comes off, right? And not that I'm saying that it wasn't. It was just like these little tricks that you do whenever you're up there. You're like, oh, she shouldn't. Oh, you gotta talk into the mic. You gotta talk into the mic.
Like, you know.
Look at us. Don't look at them. What are you doing? Yeah.
Well, for me, there's so many times where there's someone public speaking and it's like, who's got the light right now?
Yeah.
Is anyone timing this? Because this dude's been up here for like 15 minutes and he needs to wrap it up.
Yeah. There was one guy that I watched my daughter. They did a thing for the veterans. You know, they had a guy come speak, and he was so good. He was in his, you know, just an old, like 70-something-year-old guy, and he was just like, yeah, I've been through a few wars, and then he had like a few jokes and stuff, and then he was like, but then, you know, at the end he brought it together and made it tearful, and it was like, and then you guys too can support your country, you know, and then you guys have a good night, and then just, you know, and you're like, that's how you do it, you know, what is that? What happened? I want to go join now, you know what I'm saying? Like, flat-footed as hell. I don't give a fuck. I'm about to be Captain America in this bitch. Anyways, so she did good.
That's the difference.
Don't you want to carry a loaded gun into a foreign country where you're not wanted?
Well, I mean, I think it's the heart of it that we're
but I'm playing.
You want to carry? I wonder what his stipend is. But anyways, happy Veterans Day, everybody. Happy Memorial Day.
Jack Tapp, we're celebrating with you.
Yeah. But yeah, longevity. Okay, we'll get back to that. So over the time of doing it, how have you evolved? You know, you took breaks, you came back.
Yeah.
What has evolved in you that now, like you said, you kind of just do and you don't even have to think about it? Or as a person, okay, next example, for me, I better understood myself because I had to start diving into myself because I was right?
Yeah.
And then now I would not be where I am without a full better understanding of who I am, for better and worse. Yeah. You know, where you're like, oh shit, that's dark inside of me. I didn't know that was there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of your answer there is when you start writing that material, and I don't think if anyone who's not writing to get up on the stage and talk about it, they might not be exploring some of that real dark stuff, and just finding out like, oh wow, I didn't know that was in there. When you're writing it. You know, there's been stuff in journals I've written where I'm just trying to get to the bottom of what it is I'm feeling about a certain topic, and like, I hope that, and I'd be writing on I'd be taking the trolley train to JJ's on Thursday, just thinking like, I hope a cop doesn't stop me and look through this journal, because if he looks through the stuff I'm writing right now, how would I defend any of the stuff that I've just written down? And I know I'm going to tear these sheets of paper and throw them away because I just don't need. Yeah. I don't need these words in my life
to be in existence.
But yeah, I think if I'd say that, like, you know, maybe that's kind of what I was looking for in comedy, is just trying to get to, like, what's going on underneath all these weird thoughts in my brain, like where do they come from, what are they, I don't know if maybe I'm putting too much gravity on my fart jokes. But yeah, another comedian would say, like, that's stupid, just make the crowd laugh. And I think, and I don't know, they're both.
I don't know. What do you like? Do you like it when things are more heartfelt? And when they come, whenever somebody, here's the thing, I think the fart jokes are great if they're bringing levity to something difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
I like the fart jokes when I know a little something more about the person after the end of the fart joke.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. it's I don't know where I'm going with that.
The fart is the delivery. This is how you get to see me.
Yeah,
is the fart joke.
And everyone's got the farts, and everyone's embarrassed by their own farts, but everyone's farts, I guess, are a little bit different. And so, like, what's that dude's farts like? What is it? What are his farts like? And if he gives me something that I've never heard before, that's really like, cool, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
it's all about what you consume.
It could be like, you know, if you're saying something about yourself and then you give it that punchline, which is like the fart or whatever gross thing that makes it kind of sticks in people's minds a little bit more, to where it's like it makes it more memorable, right? So it's like you are passing along information about yourself with that intention of, like, sticking it, making it effective.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't really. It's all ethereal. It's all, people like things for different reasons, right?
Right. So, when you really try to pin down what is the concept, like, what's funny, like what does it mean to be funny? What does it mean to, like, the sooner you start trying to pin it down. Yeah, ethereal is the word, because it
slips away.
You didn't deserve it. That's how. That's what it feels like whenever you're like, oh, I'm gonna make this funny, and it goes away. It's like, no, you weren't doing it right.
Yeah.
You were holding the stand too hard.
Just hold it too
and
hard.
it just. I think I'm a very big believer in the muse. The muse is like God, collective consciousness. You know, as far as, like, the idea of, like, I got to sacrifice my time for the muse, right?
Yeah.
I'm sacrificing my life, right? And so if I do that enough, she gives me these really great ideas that I have to work with, right?
Do you think God is pleased with your stand-up comedy?
No. No, but the muse is. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that's why there's a Trinity, right? So the others can't see what each other are doing.
Yeah. They got a 2 out of 3 votes on it. We're gonna go. We'll go vote on it. We'll be back.
All right.
You know.
We'll let the watermelon crushing guy do his thing. All right, we'll give him some ideas. Who's that guy?
Gallagher.
Gallagher. That's what
one of my favorite comedians growing up. One of the highest grossing comedian of the 1980s.
Big Couch?
Which one?
The Big Couch? When he, the one
he had like put the trampolines in the big couches and all whatever. I like, we recorded it off HBO. I had the VHS tape. And I watched that and Harry the Hendersons on repeat.
Yeah, I kind of think of. I mean, he's probably the first comic I can remember ever watching on TV. You know, besides like maybe Jay Leno or somebody like on that. But but like actually stand up specials was definitely Gallagher.
And our household had a ritual that whenever, because I loved watching stand-up comedy as a kid, but whenever the comedians started getting too dirty or too dangerous or whatever, my parents would immediately change the channel. It's like, what was he talking about? And I almost like wonder, is that the reason I became a comedian? Is just to kind of, is that what it was? Is just like the changing of the channel and me not knowing what that person said somehow put me on that direction. To say my own things that if I was on TV, my parents would change the channel on me.
Well, did that make you want to write? What did he say? Like you were writing
trying to
whatever.
finish it.
Yeah, you were like, I wonder what that went to, and so you just kind of messed around with it. You went to school. Like, did you see that? Comedy Central presents with Dan Cook. Did you see?
What I would do is I would check the oh man, here comes old man Raney. I would check out the TV guide. I would pull out the paper printed on paper. What was going to be on TV and at what time, and check to see, because they'd always play it again at like 2 or 3 a.m. So I'd get up at 2 a.m. and watch some dumbass Howie Mandel special from the 80s on HBO. And maybe that put me on the direction that I went in without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Well, it was important enough that you had to search it out.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, you would have went back to playing with jacks or whatever you guys did in the old days. But no, I had a very different upbringing. My parents used to watch South Park with me.
Oh, yeah.
And
Really?
my dad introduced me to Hudson and Landry. It's an old 1950s radio show that was like, it was, they had the Prospectors, and it was, if you look it up, it's really good stuff. But also social commentary for back then on radio.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I have to check that out.
Yeah, Hudson and Landry, super funny. But also, my dad would tell me risque jokes because he would, and my mom they were all jokers, you know, and he introduced.
Your dad was construction?
Yeah, he was construction.
Okay,
His whole,
okay.
and Navy.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so he was like, check this hair lip joke I got, and now he doesn't do it because he's not allowed. But no, but he's they all kind of did that for me. They introduced me to Eddie Murphy and Louis Anderson, Sinbad, and all these. I mean, David and I used to listen to Sinbad
on a cassette tape.
Yeah,
Sinbad was cool.
Yeah. And but they would sit there with me and watch it.
Yeah.
They would. They were like, "Hey, don't turn that on until I get in there. I gotta make the popcorn."
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's because me, I would have to hide out in my back bedroom and watch The Simpsons with my finger on the button to change the channel if someone came in.
Yeah.
Because The Simpsons were not allowed in my household.
Yeah.
The comedy cassettes I had access to, cassettes on cassette, was Jeff Foxworthy billing. Like just the here's your sign. I haven't listened to that in decades, but I'm worried that if I listened to it, I would know every word.
Yeah.
and I don't know if Jeff Foxworthy is the best comedy teacher you could have, but that's the one I had.
Yeah.
And I got through it without telling any redneck jokes, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Yet.
Not yet, yeah. But honestly, I need a gimmick like the "you might be a redneck" if like he rode that gimmick to sleep. He just all the money.
Well, he did a few. I'm a big Jeff Foxworthy fan. Again, that was right along there. My dad, his grandpa, used to have the Jeff Foxworthy. Our whole line of family was a bunch of jokesters and assholes. But he had the coffee table book. I smoked weed. I don't know what's wrong with me. But the coffee table book where you could like flip through it, and then I would go through it and try to remember it, and then be like, all right, and then I'd go run to the neighbor and then be like, while my dad was like, we're supposed to be cleaning the yard here, dude. You know,
that was your first open mic.
Yeah. But I remember, me and Dad would trade jokes. I mean, just silly stuff, you know. And I think I think you get there. I think if it wasn't for that, I would have found it no matter what.
Yeah, and that's what I always like. I can talk shit about stand-up comedy, but the one good thing it really did for my life is it's just this weird, like, gutter is the wrong word for it because that sounds too gross, but it's this catch-all that just catches all these weirdos. And I have friends from walks of life that I would never hanging out at Marty Johnson's house, just looking around, and he's talking politics to me, and it's like, I would never be here if it wasn't
meet someone.
Like, if it wasn't for stand-up comedy, I can't think of any other avenue that would put me in this guy's house right now, eating like shark steak. Like, what? I don't want to talk too much shit about Marty Johnson, but he had like cuts of steak made out of shark, and I was like, I gotta try that, and it was good.
Oh man,
comedy is weird like that.
Well, it'll take you where you don't want to go too. So that's nice.
It'll put you on a Greyhound bus to Chicago. It'll be awful.
Is that what you did?
I've done it. Wow. I've done it a couple of times just to do some open mics and comedy will beat the crap out of you if you let it.
If you let it,
if you let it,
that's a good point, man.
And I never did the deal where every comic has that story about sleeping in a car. I never did that, but man, I came close. Yeah, I came close a couple of times just because they trying to just squeeze a nickel out of this business is such a hassle. Yeah, you know. Yeah. If you want to get good at it, you have to do it full time, but you're not getting paid full time. You just mileage may vary.
It's a labor of love for sure.
Absolutely.
Now I've slept in my car for electrical work too, so it's not like it's not just for comedy.
Yeah.
Like you can sleep in your car for any reason.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
There's a lot of reasons. So don't be ashamed of sleeping in your car. All right.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's a 22-hour shift and you got to get up in 7 hours.
Yeah.
So.
But, yeah, well, I was curious. I don't know if you've got this on your list or whatever, but what are like some of the shows that you've done that are like places you've been? Is there any stories or anything that come to mind? Like doing shows or doing comedy anywhere?
I guess the best show I ever got booked for was opening for Mick Foley.
Wow.
And I had just started. I think I was like 2 or 3 years in the game, and I just happened to have a whole bunch of bits about pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing I was actually interested in. I have my life is like a line graph of you can chart happiness by the amount of pro wrestling I'm watching. The more pro wrestling I'm watching, the less happy I am. It's like a direct correlation. And so at that point in my life, I was watching a lot of pro wrestling, and I got booked to open for Mick Foley, who's a pro wrestling legend.
Yeah.
And then Jim Ross, who's he's a pro wrestling legend and an Oklahoma legend. So he was on the show, and I couldn't believe it.
And that was here?
Yeah, that was over at the fairgrounds, and I've been chasing that dragon for a while. I opened for Brad Williams at Bricktown Comedy Club, and that opportunity was amazing. That was an amazing opportunity to do that, and and then there's that, and then there's also I forget who he was, but some goober from California was doing this club in Arkansas, and for whatever, I knew the guy who was booking it, and I ended up opening for him, and he hated me, and I didn't like him much either. But that taught me more about comedy than any of those good shows ever did.
Right. Yeah,
right. And I don't regret that show at all. There's the shitty club shows. There's fun to be had.
Yeah.
There's fun to be had.
There's always something to learn. I mean, that's something we've learned from, I think, Julie Drake or somebody told us, like, you'll never learn anything from doing a good show. You learn from the bombs and the bad shows that you have.
Yeah. Just patting myself on the back after a good show. Yeah.
But
that's interesting.
A bad show is a pebble in your shoe. You can't get. You just got to think about it for a while, and like, what happened? What did I do wrong? Where was I lacking?
Right.
You find out.
Yeah, I think that's the deep dive. That's like that dive into yourself that kind of you have to reevaluate. Where did I mess up? Because it goes, oh, it was me?
Yeah, was it me? It's like,
was
bro,
it me?
You were the last dude on an 8-person bill, and everyone was drunk and tired, and like Doug Stanhope wouldn't have done well at the end of that set. I don't know. Why am I talking shit about Doug Stanhope?
Because he's great.
He's great. Yeah,
that's why you were like, even he would.
Right.
I do think about that when I'm in a real shit room where nobody's getting any traction. I'm like, what if like a real deal, just pick your name comedian walked in the room, like, would he have a chance in this room right now? Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I think he could do it, but other times I'm like, nah. Everybody's bombing in this room. Everyone's dying tonight.
He's not gonna turn this church around.
Yeah, dude, not happening.
No, that's usually whenever I start crowd working, because like I'll do like
nothing else has worked.
It's like I did 2 good jokes, and then I tried to be nice. It's y'all's fault. No.
But I think that is something that I've seen you do a lot, and I think I'm sure we talked about this on this show, but it's like whenever you start to involve the audience, sometimes like the audience just isn't there or whatever. It's like they're not, it's like you have to get them involved for them to be more aware and to actually be a part of the, be interested in the show and what's going on. So
it's the fear of getting called on.
Works, yeah. It's
the like, oh shit, he's gonna look and talk to me, and now they have to pay attention because they got to be ready.
I don't know.
And then you throw out once you see those eyes go, oh shit, then you go, all right, let me try another joke.
Yeah.
Kind
of get their attention.
I just need to go. Are you a husky boy? All right. I went to Walmart the other day. But that's kind of I figured that out when I was doing Lively because I was hosting. I got a lot of
that was a free show too, and a lot of people would. That's something that we talk a lot about, but it's like free shows versus like paid shows. People are more invested because they have money invested in the show.
And bar shows are pretty. It's hard. It's tougher because like you said, it's brighter. You can see people. There's no the honed focus is really where comedians get their power, right? Otherwise, you got to draw them in yourself, which is way harder.
Yeah.
But in that room when we would get people in and I would have to host and bring them around. It was like I was just starting out too, which was tough. I was reading a lot of books. but what I learned was if you could talk to somebody, it made this guy go, oh shit. Like it would have to look and be like, and then you'd look at him, and then they kind of, and then you go, not you. You see what I'm saying? So you kind of play with them a little bit just to kind of make them feel like they were going to be next, and then kind of like a warning shot almost. And then you could do a joke. If they laughed, you had their attention. Then you do another one. If they didn't laugh, you're like, we got to find another one.
Yeah.
Get you guys. It's like a teacher.
Yeah.
Almost, like how a teacher gets a class going.
You got to build the momentum.
Yeah. And then once they're there, you're like, okay, they're paying attention. But it's hard to be more important than a beer.
Yeah.
Or their a football game when it's happening right above your head.
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough one, dude. Yeah. That's all crowd work for me. That was
just screw it, we're going.
Yeah. This episode of Rhythm Wit was brought to you by Campbell & Son Electric, Oklahoma City's trusted one-truck electrical contractor with over 20 years of experience in the field. Whether it's upgrading your home's electrical service, troubleshooting issues, or tackling small commercial projects, Campbell & Son Electric delivers top-notch work with care and attention you'd expect from a family business. Servicing areas like Del City, Edmond, Yukon, Mustang, and beyond, they're your go-to for reliable expert service. Need help with your next project? Visit CampbellandSonElectric.com today and get it done right the first time. Campbell & Son Electric, brightening Oklahoma, one wire at a time. Okay. So with the longevity, I wanted to ask this. Do you feel like you preserve your skills whenever you kind of take a break, or do you lose a little bit? Are you so practiced now that you can kind of get in and out?
I'm rusty right now. Yeah. I know, like I think I could get some laughs if I walked up onto a stage, but I know like it's just I'm not at fighting weight. I would have to I gotta sit down and do some writing. I gotta I don't have a set list together. I'm kind of just I'm loosey goosey right now. I could do I could rock a 3-minute set, but then after that the cracks are gonna show without without the
practice.
The prep. The practice and the prep.
I mean, I think about this all the time with open mics and the importance of open mics. We did an episode, I think that's one of the things we like to do is periodically have an episode of this show where we just talk about all the current mics that are going on, because those are so important to this craft that you have to, that's where you practice. I mean, you have to have that. So I think it's super important. Obviously, and I think that most comics know that. But yeah.
Well, you say right now you're a little rusty, but when we're at improv, like I said, that was one of my more favorite mics. But you're so creative with what it wasn't just a mic. Right. You had challenges. You had different comedians challenge it, like almost like you're wrestling.
The belt, yeah.
Yeah, it came from my love of pro wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
The comedy championship belt. The Mina Smart, she walked away from the whole show. She's the champ. She's its new champion for life.
Yeah.
For life, undisputed. Undisputed.
She earned it.
But that idea of it makes it fun. It makes it involving. You're doing something different.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that you do even with your advertising for your mic. Like whenever I saw your mic, you could see it wasn't just, oh, here's some comedians. It's like, this is the fun you could be having.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh my God, I keep missing out. Like that's what I felt like, and I feel that when I'm there too, it's like, man, I can't believe I didn't come all those times. I wasted. When you said you were going to quit or you were done with that mic, I was like, fuck.
I was the same way. I'd only ever made it twice out there. I was like, man, I used to go out to, there was a couple of mics I really liked going to, Fairweather Friends.
That mic rules.
Yeah. I remember you hosting that once or twice for sure, but I would go there every week. It was just a fun time to, and yours, It's New, was similar to that. It's like I should have been going there every week just to hang out, because it was just a fun group and fun time every
So can
week.
you go back? Can you just do it again?
I'm of the opinion now. It's like, man, like I've that whole mic, the only reason that I did It's New was because in that same building 10 years ago, the very first open mic that I ever ran was a coffee shop at the time called District House. And so I ran an open mic called Public Access for a couple years, and I handed it off to Alex Sanchez and Will Ogletree, and they did amazing things with that mic. It actually had its last that mic actually had its last episode like a year or two ago.
I remember that whenever he was doing it again
or a
at
couple years
Paramount
ago.
Room, I think. I never made it out there. It was like Sundays or something like that.
But yeah, when he was running at the Paramount, it still had the direct lineage from the mic that I ran at District House. And so, when Kendon at OKC Improv contacted me about running a mic in that room, it made perfect sense. It was like, it felt like me kind of like closing like the final chapter on that book, whatever that book is. Like it felt like that. Because I still had a lot of weird open thoughts about that mic and what I should have done with it, and what it could have become. And it was my chance to really, like, okay, we'll just do that and finish it up. And now that I've done it. Maybe the other people that came to the mic and was inspired by it, maybe they can do something that's a little bit different and outside the norms. Just an open mic can be more than just a sign up sheet in a bar. You can do some cool creative stuff with it, and it's just out in the open. Like, I steal my ideas, steal them,
keep going. Yeah, do the same thing. Even
put a comedy championship belt in your open mic. Adrian Corwin still like a belt at Othello's. Make it happen. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is if somebody makes a championship belt, people want it.
Yeah, they want to win.
Bad, dude.
I felt like a couple times where there's people who are going up for the belt and they're like, "Wait, what happens if I actually win?" It's like, "You're the champion." Like, "Oh, I don't want that." I was like, "What?" Why? Like, I don't want to win. I was like, "Okay."
Well, then you go sit down. But, we're trying to have fun up here, dude.
But the people that did want it, man, it made the excitement.
There's a responsibility, I think, to it's like you have to, if you win the championship, then you have to defend it.
You have to
then you got to act like a champion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the belt it needs a fighting champion. That's what it needs.
So,
not some part timer. and to Mina Smart's credit, to like all the champions, they came in, they did the work. Cody Troutman came in week after week. Mina Smart, Will Davis. I'm forgetting some, but big dick.
I thought Will had it.
Yeah.
I thought Will had it, man. I really did.
Dude, we had like weeks of things planned out because I thought that Will was going to hold that belt for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I was already like 3D chessing it. Like, I don't know, 4 or 5 steps of how I wanted to book that. And then Mina came in and she
out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Because she's pretty new. I remember seeing her, like, I think her first ever open mic was when Martin Dupross was doing the
Sailor
in the Dock.
Yeah.
I think I was at one of her first ever open mics. And it's like she's always had something, but obviously now it's like elevated. So it's great to see her continue and get so much better so quickly, even.
Yeah, dude. And well, then I think the improv gives you that space. Like I said, it was the environment was something you had to do. It's new stuff. You had to do new stuff, right? And I built. If I didn't do that mic, I wouldn't have like 5 or 6 bits right now. Just because it's like,
great.
Well, I can't do my old stuff.
Yeah.
Let me just try this. And a lot of times that's all it takes to bring life into it.
Yeah.
Things you don't even think is funny.
And that was the whole deal. Like, so the It's New draws its lineage from another mic called New Shit, which is an anagram, and it was all about just like no old material. And that's the other thing about open mics that I hate is going up to and seeing funny people do the same material every single week.
It's like that works. Why are you?
It's like you're not.
If it's already it's already a joke. You've already developed it. You're right.
Yeah, you're doing time, but you're not working bits.
Right.
And that's a trap to fall into at an open mic.
How long? So, on average, how long do you think someone should run a bit? Like, okay, I've done it. All right, you go ahead.
Run it till it's ready.
Yeah,
I mean, like
it could be different.
I mean, you do it at the mic, you're gonna find you got to do it 4 or 5 times to find a couple different angles that you want to do. You want to do it a couple of times at a showcase just to see like how does it feel with a real crowd. I'm not one of the guys that like I give up on it the second it bombs. Some comics are like that, and there's a point to be made about that. But you use it till it's ready. And what's problem is as soon as you got a joke that's hitting. Like as soon as it's hitting, it's on its way to being a dead joke. They all have lifespans, and so you'll do that joke that worked for 3 years, worked every time like a charm. It was your closer for a while, and you do it, and it just no traction. And what happened? Where did the funny go? Can you point to where it went?
Yeah,
it's
weird.
It's just gone.
Y'all use cassettes?
And you look at a bunch of like there's nothing like going to a comedy club and seeing some a comedian in their 60s doing Seinfeld impressions of Kramer and Elaine and George, and you're looking around like there's no one here watched that show. Like these are kids. Like why you know, just everything's got a lifespan.
That's an interesting thing that I don't really think about that. I mean, I don't practice stand-up comedy, so I wouldn't know. But as far as that lifespan of a joke, that's interesting to think about.
Yeah, they all have mileage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Oh, okay.
Well, we got off of that point. But also,
sorry. Yeah.
So the It's New. Like one thing I don't really talk about a whole lot is the whole idea that mic didn't have a microphone, and the whole reason that came about was just me trying to work around some limitations that I had, because what they were wanting me to do was they assumed that I was gonna like need a microphone no matter what, and they told me, well, we can only let you use the microphone after 9:30 p.m. because of the improv classes. And they didn't want us making too much noise. And I was like, well, that's not going to work for me because no one's ever going to come to a 9:30 p.m. open mic here at the Improv. And so I thought, well, what if we just didn't use a microphone? Could we bring it earlier? And then he came back to me like, yeah, we can do that. And so that kind of got the whole basis of how that format worked, was just me trying to get around the rules. Like, how do I how do I make this work for me?
It's like a compromise too. I mean, and it still works because it's like that room was so good because you didn't need a mic. I mean, as long as everyone was quiet. I mean, you know. And
it kind of like raised a challenge to the comedians. Like, can you get this crowd's attention without the microphone? Because a lot of people are just by virtue of having a higher volume on your voice, that gets attention. But would that work? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I thought that was weird the first time I went, but obviously you kind of forget about it after pretty quickly.
You'll see comedians holding beer bottles like a microphone, and just because they don't know what to do with their hands.
Griffith always did that. He would have a beer and just talk into it.
He would talk into the lantern, and I'd get the best photos out of it because the lighting was great. So I appreciated him doing that.
Was the 3 minutes like a pre? Was that just because there's so many people, or was it just like, all right, 3 minutes of new stuff per person for a reason?
Well, I told myself I'm not running this mic for longer than 90 minutes.
Okay.
So you start doing the division math on there, and yeah, I think like and you know, there's different philosophies on that, and that's cool too. But at an open mic, I really only got about 3 minutes of listening to somebody talk. After unless they're killing it, and there's been times where people killed it, and I just let the clock go. I didn't care. But more often than not, what you need to work on, if it's all new material, you got about 3 minutes of it, and that's about it. And it's just sometimes just 4 minutes feels like an eternity. If someone's bombing, that extra minute is just an eternity that I could do without.
Yeah. Well, I always find like, you know how it is. I mean, you get through and you're like, all right, I did that good. Let me try this other one. And then you're like, oh, I screwed up that last minute. Damn, dude. If it wasn't just for like, if sets were all 3 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, you just, sometimes just run out of steam.
Seems like a magic number in a way. Because how many jokes would you guys say that is? I mean, you could probably do at least 3 jokes.
One per minute.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
Maybe more, but.
Depends on how you're defining joke.
Yeah.
You know,
More beats? Would you say more beats?
Yeah, I think you could probably cover 3 topics and get a couple of beats per, if you're really efficient, if you really know what you're doing. But I
mean, obviously
three jokes sounds.
But that's like average, I would imagine. Yeah.
And also the hourglasses on Amazon sold like there were 3 minutes and 5 minutes, and and 1 minute, and 1 minute felt a little too short, so we went 3 minutes.
I always like that too. I forget about that, but you had the hourglass thing, which was a perfect timer deal that you could just look and see exactly how much was left.
Right. You know? And you know, every single open mic you go to, there's a guy in the back with a light, and it's a weird little secret between him and the comedian that the time has passed. And I thought, what if we didn't do that? What if everybody knows that this Joker is done?
Community accountability.
Yeah. Everyone can stare this guy down because they know all of his sand is out of his hourglass, and he's still talking like he's got time, but he doesn't.
You're like, they're engaged. No, they're waiting.
They're staring a hole in you, waiting for you to get off so they can get up and have other people stare at them.
But yeah, obviously,
and wait for them to get off.
Wait for them to get off.
Yeah, like all
it's
of
my turn for people to wait for me to get off.
Somebody's getting off here.
Somebody. It's not the guy on stage.
I think it was a very successful mic because I think it goes into all of these, you've been running mics for so long and you've learned all these different things. It's like, well, you did it this way for a long time and it's like, well, that was dumb, or, you didn't like that, so you wanted to do these things. So I feel like it was a good lineup of all these different tips and things that you've developed. So it's very cool.
But speaking of tips, what do you like with your length of time in comedy and in Oklahoma? I think that kind of dictates a little bit more, because I don't think, was there much before, as much stuff to do before as there is now?
That's
like open mics and
opportunities,
sets
even.
Yeah.
I've seen it kind of come and go. Othello's has always been a through line. JJ's open mic has always been a through line. There was a club when I started, and there's a club now. They're not the same one, but that's okay. It's in flux.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember a time when James Nim was running Othello's, and most people wouldn't. I don't. And the stage was on the other side of the room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. You weren't. Were you not there for when Othello's burned down?
I've heard the story. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. There was a time before the Othello's burned down, and the whole layout of the place was completely different.
Oh, I had no idea.
Okay, yeah. So you get older and older. You get older and older in the scene, and no one remembers the way that the scene used to be, except for you and a couple other people.
Well, 10 years ago, I was researching where to go. Yeah. And I found Othello's and JJ's, and I was like, I'll go to JJ's first because it's close.
Yeah. And then JJ's was the very first open mic I ever did.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, how long ago? 13. You said?
It would be about 13 years ago.
Damn, that might have been you who laughed at me. But
it might have been.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
You made me quit comedy. No, but when I first started, I went to JJ's, and it was the night before my wedding, and.
Was this a bachelor party, or were you just hanging out?
It was just me and my brother. He flew in, and we were like, "All right, man, let's go. You're gonna get married." Well, I was already with Liz. We had a baby. It was like we're just doing it for make parents happy. And I think that with ceremony comes like
something like that.
Most things are, if you believe in it, it is.
Yeah.
Right. So I believe in this marriage.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna do a ceremony. We're gonna light some candles, and we're gonna make a cake. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna bring the government in on it.
Yeah. So they can tax us properly.
Yeah.
But that being said, I went out the night before, and I was like super nervous about. I wasn't nervous, but I was just like, man, we got like shit to do tomorrow.
Right.
And I don't want to fuck up. Liz, we paid $8,000 to go. You know what I'm saying? That's not a lot, but for us it was. And Dave was there. It was pretty cool.
It was nice.
It was nice. It was at the Skirvin.
Yeah, it was small.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got them they messed up, and I'm gonna say this right now. Got you, Skirvin, but they messed up and put the wrong number. It was supposed to be more.
Really?
Yeah, and the lady was new, and so on the contract she put the wrong. It was supposed to be like 12,000, but she was like, "Well, it was on a day that nobody wanted. It was like a Tuesday or something.
Yeah, I remember it being on Monday afternoon.
Intentionally, yeah. So it was cheaper. But then she came back and was like, "Hey, just to let you know, this, hey, this isn't a price that we can really give this away at." Da, 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 da. Liz was like, "We already have the contract."
Yeah, it was like
so we'll see you on the 14th.
Good for her.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
But that being said, we
had the open mic. At JJ's.
At JJ's, yes. Okay, so I was there with my brother, and then I was like, well, I'll go up, just to kind of get rid of these jitters. I went up, nothing. I didn't have nothing. I was just like, let me just go talk on this mic. I'll jump off if that sucked. Yeah. And I did good. Shot in the dark, 10% chance, got it. I was like, and then they were laughing, clapping. I was like, yeah, all right. Walked away, got married, went on the honeymoon. Spent the whole time writing. I was like, oh, I'm obviously the best. And then I went back up, and I bombed my ass off. And
as it should be.
The guy that was in glasses with a beard.
That would be Sam Scoville.
Is it really?
Sam, did he have one of his fingers was missing?
I didn't look. Okay. That wouldn't be the first thing I noticed.
If he's hosting the JJ's open mic at that time period, you're probably describing Sam Scoville.
But I said something, and it wasn't even like he did anything. It was he just laughed at my. Like, oh shit, this is happening. You know what I'm saying? When somebody's like, oh god, and I didn't know what that. I thought, oh, I'm messing it. So I just
you didn't know any other comedians either.
No, I didn't know any. I was just showed up. I was like, where do I sign up? Can I get a beer?
You had. I think that's what's nice about the community now. It's like, I mean, at least from what I see, anyways, it's like it's more welcoming. And it's like if you're in the community, it's kind of easier to. I mean, that's something we like to do on this podcast is to show if you're brand new to comedy, watch our show. You'll learn something, meet some, hopefully. Find people to meet.
Well, Leo was my guy.
Yeah.
Leo, he was like, hey, man, he's like nice. He's running JJ's. I was like, I don't know what to do. He's like, come on, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
that was when you got back into it.
That's when I came back 10 years later.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
10 years past.
I was mimicking. I was like, how do I get good? I was like, well, I'll just mimic Doug Stanhope. Like, mimic his act, like, in the living room, just like, and you can't because that's not me. Yeah. Now that I realize it's like, that's not me.
And that's and people they get a lot of shade on new comics for aping some other comic style, and it's like, well, how else are you going to learn how to do this crap? Just I feel like just comedy in general should probably be a little bit more forgiving of people just ripping other people off wholesale. And I think I don't want to veer us too far off topic here. Whatever, it's a comedy. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, just. Yeah, if I could give advice to anybody watching, rip people off, man.
Yeah.
Just rip them off, like comedy-wise, not money-wise. Just rip off material, steal it, just talk like them, do the Mark Norman voice. Do it, just do it.
I think
whatever.
it's something with music, right? I think the differences. I think a lot about the similarities and differences between comedy and music or any performance thing. But it's like music, nobody gets mad when you get up and play a cover song. You know what I mean?
If anything, they prefer you to play cover. as soon as you're done with your Oasis cover, it's like, now I'm going to play one of my songs. Like everyone's like, okay, we got to.
But it's like, but it's so important. I mean, I definitely, when I first learned how to play bass, I was looking up Queen bass lines on the internet and learning how to play that because I didn't know how to play the bass at all. So it's like, how are you supposed to learn anything unless you emulate someone else that you like? So I think that is interesting, and I think that because you said that, I like that when the Will Rogers quotes and the Rodney Dangerfield stuff. It's like that would be a good idea for new comics to like maybe have an open mic for specifically brand new comics that like you're allowed to do that to get under your feet and feel like learn what it feels like to do this. So
well, even the idea of like, this is my joke that I wrote is kind of dubious at best. It's like, nah, bro, it's some drunk guy yelled that at you one time and you remembered it, and now you're saying it on stage and everyone's laughing like you said it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, with the music analogy, I mean, think about it like this: like if you're a guitarist, I mean, easy, you can steal a song, right?
Sure.
But you can use licks.
Yeah.
And licks are just common things that we all use, like, a dick joke. Right. This is this lick, this is this phrasing, and if I use it with this string then now it's mine. You know?
Change it. You just have to change it, like, what is it, 80% or 90%?
Well, I mean, there's Jeff Beck licks that people use, and it's just considered like, oh, that's Jeff. I can hear Jeff Beck in this musician. I can hear Rodney Carrington in this comedian. I can hear Louis Anderson. I can hear Sinbad in Nick Campbell. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, get out of there. No, but I do. Mine is like Louis Anderson, Sinbad, and Chad Daniels. That's where I like to live. Is like this, like, not that I intend to, or intentional. I'll watch other comedians, and if I find something I really like, I'll watch it over and over again, and I may even take it on the stage, just mannerisms and dynamics of voice, and then go, oh, I like that, or I didn't like that hat. I won't wear that one again. You know, like I mean, you should have heard my Cat Williams. That was pretty good.
Every comedian had a Cat Williams phase. At least once, man. It's like I don't want to talk too much shit on Cat Williams, but kind of like the Limp Bizkit of comedians. Like there's a Limp Bizkit song you like. We can all talk shit on Limp Bizkit, but there's a song you liked it when it came out.
For sure.
Yeah, dude.
If you're a white dude like us, like it's just.
What was that one where he was in like a button-up shirt and he had his hat down low and he was just like.
It was like, I think I know what you're talking about.
It was on hot dog flavored water. It was the video that got me. I was like, dude, I'm brooding too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like, it was very dark and
skin your ass raw. Dude, Limp Bizkit is at the heart of all white people, I think. A little bit. Yeah,
it really tapped into what was happening.
I did it all for the nookie.
I was there for it.
Yeah, wasn't it intro for some wrestlers too? Like,
oh, you're talking about the Undertaker, dude. Yeah, the Undertaker would come out riding a motorcycle to what was this? They're gonna revoke my wrestling fan card for not knowing what song it came out to. But yeah, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
So it was in our culture,
like,
zeitgeist, kind of.
definitely.
Whenever we were younger,
it was the song where they had to like dance like they're driving a big steering wheel. I forget.
rolling.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just
We
ladies
did
in the
it,
back.
guys.
Yeah, ladies in the
Come on,
background, giant steering wheel. Just keep rolling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who would have thought that would have been a blast from the past? Yeah, Butt Rock was pretty cool back then. Papa Roach, Drowning Pool.
Kid Rock. I don't know, we were talking about, me and my friend
Before he
talking
hated
about
P.
him recently, about his music specifically, nothing else.
Because he was in town.
Oh, was he?
Remember-
Oh, okay,
yeah, remember?
that's probably why.
Anytime that Kid Rock comes up, I bring up that you need like listeners get on Google and look up the guy, the colostomy bag, Kid Rock restaurant. Just put those words in. In the store, there was a Kid Rock's big ass bar and grill in downtown Nashville.
Yeah.
There is a homeless person who started a fight inside, either inside or outside. We had a taxi driver tell this to us, and then we looked up the story, and goddamn, it was true. The cops are trying to get a hold of him, and he lifts up his shirt and pulls out a call out. He had a bag collecting it, and he just starts swinging it, and it is splashing all over. Yeah.
Oh,
Kid Rock was not there at the time, unfortunately. But it's just.
but when he was there, same feeling.
Yeah, just getting everywhere on everybody and everything.
I have nothing against Skid Rock, just his music. The just
I
kidding.
think it's more the opposite. The music can go either way, but him as a person,
Ball to ball, come on, man. Okay.
I think we're about an hour.
We're about an hour.
Hey,
that's not too bad. That's not too
all right.
bad.
Or a little.
I got to talk about like I knew things about comedy, which is so funny because you guys are talking to me like I'm an expert. I never drew a damn dime in this business.
Yeah.
I did this thing.
I think there's always stuff to learn about from people that have been doing it a long time, though. That's the thing. It's like it takes the thing about comedy. I always thought was interesting is like. Yeah, I feel like you have to be doing comedy for at least 5 years before you can. I mean, not to say, it's like you get to like a middle level at 5 years, even. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just the longevity of it is so important.
Yeah, I think there's something about that. They'll tell someone will tell you 5 years, someone will tell you 7 years, but it takes a certain amount of years to kind of get your bearings.
Yeah,
and to stop aping other people's styles and start talking like the person that you are.
You develop your own true style for sure.
So I'd say that's a good time frame. If you're 2 years in and you don't have a good grasp on it, you're in good company. I think that's about the way it works.
For sure. So yeah, I mean that's why. And there's not a lot of people around here. I don't know very many comics that have been doing it as long as you. You know what I mean? I could say probably on one hand the comics that I know personally that have been doing it that long.
Yeah. Have y'all had James Nim on this mic yet? Okay.
Yeah, we had him. Yeah, he's a good friend.
Yeah.
Well, there's one that kind of stepped away and then went into music.
Yeah,
like he does a little bit here and there.
Yeah, he's always kind of doing his own thing.
Yeah,
he's finding some new projects to get into.
He's always one of the most creative people I know, and just different, creative avenues.
Yeah,
writer, musician, comedian.
Yeah, and then we'll hang out and he'll tell me he's homebrewing a fighting game. I'm like, you're doing.
Oh yeah, I think I heard about that.
I forgot about that.
So he's the man, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think whenever I talk to most older veterans in the scene, very old.
It happens. It happens if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
Yeah. Dude, I'm 37. I got
man.
I'm on 3 years away from 38. I'm actually 2 years away.
I was just thinking that too because we're like a month apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Dave are almost dead.
2 years from 40.
Yeah.
So what I was getting at was when you talk to the older cats, it's what I can gather is it's really protect the love of it.
Yeah.
Almost. It's like this idea of like, I think you do get, fortunately, I've been able to talk to a bunch of people. This is given me, and then you guys are so nice. Everybody I pretty much talked to, Julie, Brad, Chad, obviously a bunch of others.
Yeah.
But the ones I have got, it's kind of this attitude of you got to do it because you love it. Brian Stevens, that was one of the things he said. He's like, if we were out at Comedy on the Spot, we didn't at the beginning we didn't have a good crowd, but I went and barked and we were able to get it. So when he came in, I was like, man, there's not a lot of people here, and he was like, dude, it's
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's like, I'm just here to do comedy. It's gonna be
Yeah.
fun no matter
Yeah.
what. I was like,
Yeah.
and then I, at the time we were starting, so it was like kind of paltry pay,
Mhm.
And I went up, I gave him his money, and he was just like, I was like, man, I wish I could give you more. You were so funny, and he was just like, if you're doing it for money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, And I just was like, I love that attitude, and that I kind of tried to, because no matter what, man, I can't pay for the amount of fun I'm having.
Yeah.
Like if I sit there and put the importance on the money, it takes away from that for me, that fun for me, and now I don't want to be taken advantage of either. I think that's where it comes from.
And absolutely, the rewards that come to you in stand-up comedy can become a trap. I ran open mics. One of the reasons why I stopped running open mics is because I stopped drinking. Every open mic that I ran, you got to be cool with the bartender, because if the bartender's not cool with the show, you're not going to have a show. Something's going to happen. The show's going to get canceled. You got to make sure that you're cool with the bartender. And when you're cool with the bartender, or the bartender's cool with you, well, he hands you a free drink, And it's like, well, it'd be silly not to drink this free drink. It's like leaving money on the table, and I'm not getting paid anyway.
That's a part of your payment.
It's a part of my paycheck is this beer that they're handing me. So if they're handing me 3, well, I'm going to drink 3.
Yeah.
And then, you're doing that. And I had a hustle where I was hosting bar bingo and bar trivia. And so every night of the week I was in a bar, and bartenders that I was cool with were handing me drinks. And you get trapped by those rewards. I never got trapped by the money.
Yeah.
Luckily, that temptation stayed away from me. But I mean, I made enough to pay bills and whatnot. But at the end of the day, what I really had to get away from was the drinking.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, like kind of said when I walked away from the mic that I walked away from, it's just because it's the things that were really fun kind of weren't feeling fresh to me. And that's when that funk starts setting in. Take a look around, start taking account of what's happening. And for me, it was let's try something else out. Let's try something else.
Do you pass the torch? Like you're like, all right, I did enough. Here, somebody else take this.
No, the idea of a mic called It's New running for 10 years just makes the punk rocker in me says no. No, there's not going to be an old ass mic called It's New. I'm ready for, but I'm also ready to like go to an open mic that someone's running in that space and see how it works. I want to see your cool weird ass idea. I want to sign up for your weird ass mic.
Well, your personality is portrayed through the shows that you're even producing. Like yours is very much you. I think that our comedy on the spot lends well to
what you guys
what we're doing, me and Liz. And then you go do Bricktown, that's very professional. You get there putting. I think the local scene. Oh, perfect example, Martin Duprass.
Yeah,
everything they do
right now.
Everything
their shows rule.
And making a movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, super creative.
Okay, I want to ask you this.
Hell yeah.
And I want to say this too. I believe that the experience that you have and the fact that you are a veteran in our scene is very important. And saying that you maybe feel, or when you said you didn't think that, you guys are asking me, everything I've seen, you're the person to ask, right?
I appreciate that.
I really appreciate you as a comedian. That being said, if you were to give someone advice when they say their first year, second year, from where you are now, what would you tell them? 5 points if you can get them. 5
points. I don't know if I'll do a top 5, but I can give you a couple. Definitely the sooner you can start running your own shows, the better, because I'm sure a new comic will be bitching about how come I'm not getting booked. Well, you're not getting booked because you're not booking people.
Yeah.
When you start booking people and that's a real that sometimes I've seen that get used as a cop out when someone's like, "Why am I not getting booked?" Like, "Oh, you do your own show." But also, there's some truth to that. Not everyone can run their own show.
Something I say all the time for me personally, just a quick, is like creating your own opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, especially for music, it's like nobody's giving people music opportunities out there. I mean, there's a couple, but not enough.
No.
So it's like you have to just create it yourself. You know what I mean? Like with your, running your own shows for sure.
Yeah, run your own shows. Write some kind of writing practice, some kind of daily writing practice. says me to myself.
Yeah.
Read difficult books. Read almost like an athlete would be lifting weights. If you're thinking for a living, you need to be lifting some thinking weights.
Yeah.
Like read some philosophy. Read some tough nonfiction shit. And when it is fiction, read the hard stuff. I mean, you don't punish yourself, but but definitely stretch yourself, and don't. I mean, it's you're gonna make mistakes. That's if you're new to it, you're gonna fuck shit up. You're gonna hurt people's feelings. You're gonna do all the things that you said you weren't gonna do. You're gonna do them, and just a little bit of forgiveness for that. It's gonna go a long way.
Yeah, dude. I
it.
love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Very
one of the
good.
things I'm running into now. It's like, all right, I've talked about my family, I've talked about my life. Obviously, I haven't dug that deep, but it's like, what am I saying? Is it important? Like, or it shouldn't be. It doesn't matter. It's comedy. But but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's like, is there enough in here to keep? So you have to feed that. It's kind of what you're taking in.
And I'll catch myself on Reddit all goddamn day, and just like I've been listening, I've been reading bots and dummies all day. I could have pulled out some philosophy. I could have pulled out some like a whole shelf full of books I could have pulled out to read, and I don't know, and it's silly. Everyone's gonna forget you someday, so just get your reward now.
Yeah.
Get your reward now.
Yeah,
I'm
like
gonna write
it.
that one down too. Get your reward now.
Yeah.
Definitely good. Like I was saying earlier, it's just about the journey. You have to you appreciate the journey as it is, because there's really nothing at the end.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, I've been getting into D&D lately. Just like I don't even like not even playing with other people. Just listening to people do it on podcasts.
So there's a new podcast we can shout out is Olivia Lycan and Martin DeProst and some other people. I haven't watched it yet, but they're doing a D&D YouTube thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, all right.
That's cool.
I'm gonna load that
it's
up.
on Queen versus the podcast, but they have a YouTube channel, so go follow them.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
I didn't even watch it. They've done like 2 episodes. I think it's every Wednesday.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Bro, the one I'm right now is Dungeons and Daddies, and it was like made in 2017, and I've got all this backlog of like, it's just me in an attic listening to 5 people just play D&D, and it's super funny because it's very improv.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm loving about it is like, and I've been taking that mentality, because what they'll do is they'll like, the DM will say something and then they'll take on the persona of, and then try to play with, and the other people play too. And that's play is very important. Play is very important in that. Is like, it's not writing or it has to be funny.
Right.
It just ends up there because of the craziness that it is. That being said, I've been watching a lot of D&D, and it's been bleeding in. I want to write more about it. You get like, obsessed, and so I've also been playing Baldur's Gate. I'm not bragging. I got a PS5, but I don't play with people as much as it's just for a better understanding of them playing while I'm listening.
And maybe that's kind of opening the door up for like somewhere down the line you're gonna find that group of D&D players, and you're gonna lock right in.
Yeah.
So I've. You need to play. It's one thing to listen to a podcast, but bro, you got to play some real D&D.
Yeah,
I think you'd dig it.
Dude, I've got all the books. Like I've had them.
Books?
I've had them for 5 years. I've been waiting for my kids to get old enough.
Yeah.
Well, if it's like comedy, in another 5 years you'll be great at it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'm just in there. Well, I love stats. Yeah, I love I love a good stat.
That's literally the thing that keeps me away from D&D. Is just the number game of it.
Right.
Just like I don't what dice am I rolling? Like, no, you have to roll the 12-sided dice because it's some kind of. It's like I don't.
Too many rules.
Well, now they have an app. So it does the map beyond D&D. Roll20.com.
Good.
But no, I get that. I say that it's like there's a living aspect too. There's a living aspect where you, and sometimes I wouldn't think like. Normally I would do this and not try to write jokes about it. I would just be like, all right, well, nobody's gonna want to hear about that. Yeah. But I think the thing that you're obsessing about is the thing that you got, because you know the details. You know the ins and outs, and then that way you know how to associate it to the world to bring it to them. Yeah. Because what's the hero's journey, right? What's the story of the hero's journey? Getting information or a thing or experience and bringing it back to the culture and going, I brought us a thing.
Or
right? And so I'm going to do that with D&D.
Dude, hey, I mean, a D&D comedy show, it'd be a lot of things to keep on rails, but I mean, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do it. We have the equipment here. Even we could do a YouTube show like that. We just need to get a dungeon master, somebody that knows the game.
Get a dungeon master.
Yeah.
Well, what if we get like a roll 20, like you roll a d20, and then that is the difficulty of riff that you have to do. Like a D1 is critical fail, right?
Yeah.
So that's just like Elon Musk and Tesla's,
Yeah.
you know. And D20 is like you're a dick. You know? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the opposite. That may be.
Yeah, you'd have to figure it out and see.
All right. Well, Matt Raney, we're gonna do this. We're gonna build this together. We're gonna build the D&D open mic.
Yeah.
I gave you 4 things. I got a fifth one. Fifth one. The folks that you meet on your way up are the folks you'll be meeting on your way down.
Yeah.
and vice versa, man. Like the guy that'll clown on you one time, you'll see him just eat shit in the biggest situation possible, and you just, I don't know. You if you stick around in comedy, you'll witness it.
Yeah.
You'll see it.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, what's the future for Matt? What maybe you're not doing comedy, but I heard that you're doing orchestra stuff.
Yes, I'm doing stuff that's not comedy, and you can't find it on Instagram or social media because I'm not posting it. But yeah, I'm learning classical bass, like the big one with the giant bow. I'm doing that. It's slow going. I'm driving RC cars. I'm not taking photos of it, so you can't like the photo, but you just have to like the thought of me driving it.
Where you have to go to the park and find you.
You gotta come out to Memorial Park. You might catch me like trying to,
yeah, dude.
But yeah, I'm just trying to try.
Just live a little.
I'm gonna go have some experiences and then I'll be back at the open mic.
That's something about comedy, right? It's like you have to live life to have something to talk about on stage sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm it's always crazy to me the famous 18, 19-year-old stand-up comics who are just getting so much ground. It's like, what do they have to talk about?
Yeah,
and you'll watch it and it's great. It's slick. It's polished. It's there. But also it's just like, he's a 19-year-old dummy.
They don't have a life. They haven't lived life yet, for sure.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're just at your house and you're like, I can't see Matt online. Right?
Yeah.
Just know he's out there living his best life.
I'm doing shit. It's cool.
Playing with RC cars and bowing the shit out of a bass, man. I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just know I'm out there having a good time.
I'm reading some books. It's all good.
Yeah, man.
It's all good.
All right.
Yeah, I had so much fun doing this.
Dude, thanks, man. Thanks for doing it.
This is
a blast, man. We really appreciate it. And thank you for giving us so much insight.
Yeah, and everybody don't follow Matt online because you can't. So.
I mean, if you want to, you can follow It's New Open Mic on Instagram. You took some really good photos of our last mic, and I've been meaning to post those up there. So that might be like the final post for It's New. It's still worth following. It's still worth following. But yeah. Hey Raney, I'm kind of done with that as my Instagram handle. I just want to be done with social media for a minute.
So if you want to get a hold of Matt, here's his telephone number and here's his address.
I'm an easy guy to find.
Yeah,
find
you'll be around, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks, guys. We appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe and like and all the things. And be sure to email us with any questions you have, and we will get back with you on here. You can ask us anything you want, and we will answer somewhat truthfully.
Quick shout out to Salem. He told me that you guys were talking about my mic on this podcast. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he listens to this podcast. So now if you're listening to me, I'm listening to you, Salem. Hello.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Well,
See you next time.
Bye.